depending on where you are. Oh, it was going to be so easy. Trump got in. Everything is just hunky-dory. The world is back. The pendulum is swinging from crazy back to normal. Everything is just A-okay. All is right with the world. And then all this war crap starts happening in Europe. So, there's never a lack of material here on the crisis report. It's never a lack of material. So, we're going to take you through it. This one is entitled Mit Oreshnik, or Unprecedented Missile Strikes. So, I wake up and I do PrepperNow in the morning, the drive during the week. It's just easier that way. And it's I like doing the live streams, but they're late and they're tough, and you got to prep a little bit more. Turn on the camera and just talking is not so bad. So, you come here and, you usually just wake up and something financial is going on, something this, something that. The last couple mornings, let me tell you, I wake up, and, I get up at 6:30 and do my thing and then leave. So about 7:15, I'm kind of checking out stuff. And my, oh my, has it been newsworthy, to say the least. So then I make a video about it, and the video does well because I'm hearing about it usually before most people are hearing about it, because I just, I got, after 2 years in the game plus, I've got good news sources. So if you are new here, it would behoove you to hit that like button and subscribe, because we're going to tell you everything going on. It is unprecedented what has happened today. So, they first thought it was ICBM. Now they're saying it's an MRBM. This thing is called Oreshnik. Means hazelnut, whatever that would mean, or for whatever reason. All I know is that the game has been changed, and now everybody's basically been put on notice that you want a war with big old missiles, we can get a war with big old missiles rolling. So, drone warfare has definitely changed the game in this whole thing, but this thing is a game changer on its own. With this kind of conflict, you want to have heavy-duty missiles like this. They're cheaper. They're tougher to stop. Drones are cool. They're modern and all that. But to get this kind of a bang for your buck, only a good old ICBM or MRBM is going to do. And Mr. Putin has proved it. He said, hey, look over here. I know you guys are sitting over there slapping each other up like a couple of Kansas City you-know-whats. Don't want to get the old band here. Man, he sent a message. So tomorrow morning I'll have a little bit of footage on the old PrepperNow for those that want to see what this MERV, multiple independent, yeah, it's MERV. I'm going to screw up the name. Anyway, like multiple independent rocket vehicle or something like that. I forget, whatever. It'll melt your face. That's all you need to know. So we're going to start now, and we're going to go through this, and we're going to start with a quote. And I'll see if you guys can tell me who this person is. We'll do a little trivia to start. Here we go. Mr. President, we and you ought not to now pull on the ends of the rope in which you have tied the knot of war. Because the more the two of us pull, the tighter the knot will be tied. And a moment may come when that knot will be tied so tight that even he who tied it will not have the strength to untie it. And then it will be necessary to cut that knot. And what that would mean is not for me to explain to you, because you yourself understand perfectly of what terrible forces our countries dispose. Anybody have an idea who that is? We'll give it a moment. Real quick. I'll give you a hint. 1962. Yes, that's right. It is Khrushchev to Kennedy on the 26th of October, 1962. Referencing, of course, the Cuban Missile Crisis. International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Homeland Security hearings have been suddenly postponed after FBI Director Christopher Wray and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas refused to testify. Russia has declared that the United Kingdom is now directly involved in the war with Russia. Mayor of Dearborn, Michigan, announced that he would have Benjamin Netanyahu arrested if he enters the city. U.S. Justice Department calls for the breakup of Google and Chrome. Ukraine says Russia launched intercontinental ballistic missiles toward Dnipro on Thursday morning, making Moscow's first use of such weaponry in war. India's Adani says U.S. charges baseless opposition demand arrest. So I don't know what that's in, but the link's in the description. If you need all this, it's all right here on the crisis report, PrepperNow.substack.com. If you want to see all this, we have a full transcript of what we read here. Bitcoin has topped 95,000 for the first time, and trust me, folks, it's going up from there. Russia says making maximum effort to avoid nuclear conflict. That's good. Russia fired intercontinental ballistic missiles at Ukraine for the first time, according to Kiev. Russia says it has shot down 2 British-made Storm Shadow missiles. Ukraine says Russia launched intercontinental missile, did not have a nuclear charge, thankfully. Russia has launched ICBM to attack Ukraine. They have video. I have video. The video is intense. Time calls Elon Musk a kingmaker because Lord knows George Soros doesn't do any of that crap either. Or Bill Gates or anybody else. Yep, they get a super PAC and they just sit back. It's not like they're sitting there like Klaus Schwab. He doesn't Klaus Schwab. Yeah, he doesn't sit there and put all of his people into the governments all over the world. Kingmaker. Yeah. Notice his name hasn't been around lately. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's office says the ICC ruling is anti-Semitic. EU says ICC arrest warrants for Netanyahu, Gallant, and Daif are binding. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer is expected to establish a subcommittee that will work with a newly formed DOGE, led by Elon Musk of the Department of Government Efficiency, and Vivek Ramaswamy to eliminate government waste. Hamas says ICC arrest warrants for Israeli officials are an important step towards justice. Russia did not use an intercontinental ballistic missile. Okay, come on. They did not do that during an attack on the Ukrainian city of Dnipro on Thursday. 2 Western officials told Reuters, contradicting the official account from Ukraine. The United States fundamentally rejects ICC warrant for Israeli Prime Minister. Russia's strike on Ukraine was experimental medium-range ballistic missile. In practice, such a missile does not serve the Russians in Ukraine because they already have Iskander for the same purposes. But considering that we are in a period of showing muscles, this is a message for the USA and Europe. Russian strikes on Dnipropetrovsk before dawn using what appears to be a MIRV warhead attached to an ICBM. That's a multiple independent re-entry vehicle. There it is. Not rocket vehicle. I screwed it up again. Just trying to be inclusive. On an intercontinental ballistic missile, these fragment in the atmosphere into a dozen sub-munitions, each of which can be programmed to hit different targets. Video shows indeed a process by which separate warheads hit different targets, which strongly suggests the MIRV was used. In addition to hitting legitimate targets, Russia is here demonstrating the use and effectiveness of the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, or ICBM, which can hit anywhere in Europe and the United States quite easily. And then they have the conventional warhead on this one, if it were used. ICBMs were designed to carry a nuclear payload in the first place. So there are videos of it out there. Again, I'll have this on PrepperNow tomorrow. It's a little starter video. It definitely had at least 6 of the MIRV tech, on there. There's 6 strikes going down simultaneously. Today, there was a new Russian missile, all the characteristics, speed, altitude, use of an intercontinental ballistic missile. Expertise is currently underway. It is obvious that Putin is using Ukraine as a training ground. Yeah, you could say that. I think everybody is. From watching ICBMs only portrayed in military parades to actually seeing one in action today, 2024 didn't let us down and surprise us. No, it did not. We could be one of the luckiest generations alive to witness such an event, and that's if we are remaining alive. Entirety of Ukraine is under an air alert. Reports of new ICBM launches from far east of Russia, according to reports. This, of course, is earlier. There's reports that the second one malfunctioned. The Russians don't screw up too much when it comes to this kind of tech. I almost think this might have been on purpose. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm thinking outside the box, but they definitely showed that they have some potential that people aren't considering. I posted on my community page for both Crisis Report and PrepperNow on the thing. It said, the retired general said, we're basically in World War III. Of course, someone said, well, retired generals, say all kinds of stuff. They do, but it's not every day that the first time the use of a MRBM or ICBM in a battle has happened. So kind of an unprecedented day to that, but I get what you're saying. You're right. And again, if you've been here for a while, I'm not going to sit there and tell you to go tape off all of your windows with plastic and duct tape and get to your bunker and buy a grocery store. We don't function like that here on PrepperNow. We cater to the intelligent prepper, or at least on Crisis Report. So, it said we have people ruling us that are afraid of a common cold and CO2 emissions, yet poo-poo and don't think that, nuclear war is significant. They think it's insignificant. Those are the people that are leading us right now. And straight into HE double hockey sticks, I may add. So, Ukrainians post online showing parts of what was said to be parts of the Russian ICBM that targeted Dnipro. Ukraine is the first country in the world to be targeted with an intercontinental ballistic missile, according to the Strategic Communications Department of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Every Western country is downplaying what happened Ukraine overnight, like nothing happened. They know they can't escalate any further, and Putin just used an ICBM with a MIRV technology and gave a blunt statement that we are ready. Australians may soon access social media only with a digital ID, like in the communism of China. Congratulations to our Australians. I used to look up to you, and now I basically think you're going down the road to authoritarianism. So to all my friends down there, Labby, I'm talking to you. Good luck, and God bless, and Godspeed. Kevin Grip, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. U.S. ready for nuclear war. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, who's this jackass? Spokesman for the U.S. Department of Defense's Strategic Command, STRATCOM, Rear Admiral Buchanan, said the U.S. would allow an exchange of nuclear strikes if America retained part of its arsenal to further deter potential adversaries. What an incredibly idiotic statement. A large number of Russian Tu-95 strategic bombers have fired cruise missiles against Ukraine. Massive explosions are ringing out in cities across the country as millions of people are taking shelter. Okay, that's a little intense. Who's that, Visegrad? Yeah, Visegrad gets a little hyperbolic too. I don't know about all that, but they're definitely going into metros and stuff and hiding. I mean, the game's been up. Let's be honest. But again, it's not like you're watching the movie Threads. Strangely, Russian strategic aviation hasn't launched any missiles on Kiev after the Tu-95M is fired at some unverified locations tonight. Ukrainian resources haven't reported details. After the Russian army launched an ICBM on Ukraine this morning, according to the Ukrainian Air Force, 6 out of 7 of the Russian Kh-101 cruise missiles, I believe that's a Kinzhal, were shot down. One Kinzhal hypersonic missile was also used. Activity of the Russian tactical aviation in the northeastern direction has been recorded. Threat of using aviation missiles is said. Ukrainian air defense units destroyed a total of 6 of 9 missiles. 0 for 1 on the intercontinental ballistic missile, 0 for 1 on the daggers, but 6 out of 7 for the winged X-101s. Russian Army launched the intercontinental ballistic missile RS-26 Rabrezh from Astrakhan. The warhead of this is 1.2 tons and it can fly up to 6,000 kilometers. Missile was not intercepted yet. Unclear what happens. Russia threatened to strike the United States air defense base in Poland. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia says that this object is on now the list of priority targets. Wonderful. Ukraine launched UAV retaliation strikes on the city of Akhtubinsk in the Astrakhan region, from where Russia launched an ICBM earlier this morning. Confirmed explosions have been reported at the 105th Assembly and Test Unit of the Kapushtin Yar missile range. Hungary, additional air defense units are deployed in the northeast of the country after Joe administration gave Ukraine permission to hit deep inside Russia with long-range missiles, according to the Hungarian Ministry of Defense. Hungarian Defense Minister says that the war in Ukraine has now entered the most dangerous phase. Yeah, I'd agree with that. As a result of the Russian ICBM strike on Dnipro, 2 people were injured, according to state emergency services. A building of the rehabilitation center for people with disabilities was damaged. Boiler room was partially destroyed. Windows were broken. Rada council's meetings. Deputies have warned of impending attacks on the parliament there. People's deputies were informed from the threat of a missile attack in the coming days of the Verkhovna Rada building. People's deputy Batenko has said, "We all see that Putin is raising the stakes as much as possible." People's deputy Goncharenko said that the Rada meeting planned for tomorrow has been canceled and the next one will only be in December. Russian spokeswoman told not to comment on Ukraine missile strikes live on air. She got a call from Putin and he said, "Shut up." Putin says Ukraine strikes on Russia where Western missiles failed. Vladimir Putin today gave an unscheduled live address to the nation. He claimed that on the 19th of November, 6 ATACMS or ATACMS missiles and on November 21st, several Storm Shadow missiles had been used by Ukraine for strikes against targets in Russia's Kursk and Bryansk regions. According to Mr. Putin, Russia retaliated on November 21st with a combined strike against Ukrainian defense industry facility. In addition, a field test was conducted in combat conditions for one of Russia's newest medium-range weapon systems, a nuclear-free hypersonic ballistic missile. Our engineers named it Oreshnik or Hazel, Putin declared with a smile. Brazil, former President Jair Bolsonaro and several aides indicted on charges of attempting a coup in 2022. The United States was pre-notified by Russia shortly before its strike with an experimental intermediate range ballistic missile on Ukraine's city of Dnipro through nuclear risk reduction channels. So they're using the red phone, essentially, which is just wonderful. It shows how intense things have gotten. The United States was pre-notified by Russia shortly before its strike with an experimental intermediate-range ballistic missile on Ukraine's city of Dnipro through nuclear risk reduction channels, and a senior North Korea general was wounded in a recent Ukrainian strike on Kursk. Great. Italy says it would have to arrest Netanyahu and the ICC warrant. White House said Thursday that Russia was to blame for escalating at every turn in Ukraine. Russia did it. Russia did it. Putin hints at strikes on West in global Ukraine war. World War III has officially begun, Ukraine's ex-top General Valery Zaluzhny has said, according to Politico EU. NFL has issued an alert to team security officials and players, union officials, about organized criminals targeting players' homes, including recent burglaries of Kansas City stars Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Wow. We have been informed about the threat of a missile strike on the Ukrainian parliament in the coming days. That is Taras Batenko, People's Deputy of Ukraine. There will be no Rada session tomorrow. The next one is planned for December. After the demonstration of the capabilities of the Aroshnik, the Verkhova Rada session was moved for later. They say the bunker. Ukraine footage from the RS-26 ICBM that struck Dnipro this morning. 6 arrivals visible in a video. Missile was reportedly equipped with guided warheads to penetrate air defense systems. For the first time in human history, ICBM used combat this morning by the Russian missile forces after Ukraine and yesterday British-French-made Storm Shadow missiles on a Russian command post in the Kursk region. Those wily French. 1600, a loud explosion in Sevastopol, Crimea. We don't know what's going on. Activity of Russian tactical aviation observed in the eastern and northeastern directions of Ukraine. Russian ICBM BRSD was probably launched from Chasiv Yar, according to Ukrainian media. Ukraine, missile danger all over the country, as rumors sparking of another ICBM that has been launched by Russian missile forces. Putin will use all available weapons to defend Russian territory, said Serbian President Vučić. Germany, the army is preparing companies for war scenarios. Companies have been confronted with the possibility of an emergency on the basis of Operations Plan Germany, which lists all buildings, infrastructure, and facilities that are worthy of protection for military reasons. In such a case, Germany may deploy 800,000 alliance troops if Russia invades NATO. Netanyahu's buddy Trump will take retaliatory measures against the ICC and the UN. President-elect Trump, National Security Advisor, you can expect a strong response to the anti-Semitic bias of the ICC and UN come January, according to Amikai Stein. Russian ambassador to the United Kingdom claims in an interview with Sky News that the UK is now directly involved with war in Ukraine, according to Reuters. Putin says Russia will target military facilities of countries whose weapons will be used against Russia. Trudeau says Netanyahu will be arrested if he comes to Canada. Oh, now, no, don't come over the border. What's this all about? Switzerland will arrest Netanyahu. The Swiss Federal Office of Justice has announced that it is required to cooperate with the ICC under the Rome Statute and would arrest Netanyahu and Gallant if they were to enter Switzerland, initiating extradition to the court. Germany is preparing for World War III, according to the New York Post. 1,000-page war scenario plan was prepared under the name Operation Deutschland. Germany has begun planning for the deployment of 800,000 NATO troops to Ukraine, according to those documents. They're getting ready. UK is already openly directing Ukraine's military actions. UK continues to be an active participant in the war in Ukraine, main author of the Ukrainian Armed Forces Combat Plans for the Black Sea, Chief of Defense Staff of Great Britain, Radakin, arrived in Kiev. He will discuss with Zelensky a new strategy for the war using storm shadows. Wonderful. Iran announced moments ago that it is activating new advanced centrifuges to increase the output of enriched uranium. Joint statement by the Foreign Ministry of Iran and Iran's Atomic Energy Agency. Due to the renegade acts of the Western nations and in accordance with the international law in response to the approval of the anti-Iran resolution at the IAEA, we have issued the order to activate new and advanced centrifuges to increase the output of enriched uranium. Ukrainian official says Ukraine is now planning to ask allies to provide ICBM defense systems. Lieutenant General Sir Robert Andrew McGowan, Deputy Chief of the British Army. If the British Army was asked to fight tonight, it would fight tonight against Russia. Emphasized that the United Kingdom would respond robustly to any Russian invasion in Eastern Europe. British Land Army is currently at its smallest size since the 1700s, so they're ready to go. Bad Vlad says the conflict in Ukraine has become a global in nature following the Western missile strikes on Russia. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar allegedly canceled Dutch Foreign Minister Casper Veldkamp's visit to Israel that was planned for next week. Dutch Foreign Minister had said that the Netherlands would abide by the ruling of the ICC about the arrest of Netanyahu and Gallant. Russia's Medvedev says, is that what you wanted? Well, you damn well got it. A hypersonic ballistic missile attack. Russia's Oreshnik MRBM, reportedly used in the Dnipro strike, may not be as new as claimed. Procurement documents from a 2013 link its components to the RS-26 Rubezh missile and the S-300 Bulava SLBM. Markings from TSN-2AG, I believe, a key Russian research institute, and records from the Voltkinsk plant, which produces Topol-M and Yars missiles, suggest shared technology across systems. A specific component was manufactured using a Swiss-made Fellman Picomax 54. It's a machine, I guess. Pentagon has confirmed that Oreshnik heavily draws from the RS-26 missile design. Ukrainian Telegram channels, quoting Russian media, report that the Russian Federation has announced the closure of specific airspace areas for missile tests scheduled to take place between the 22nd of November and the 23rd of November. Kind of close. Austrian journalist Chris Weber. Russia launches non-nuclear intercontinental ballistic missile as a warning against Russian escalation. Warmongering faction says that this doesn't scare me or us. Written from the safety of the living room couch. Dear idiots, those who don't want to understand the warning will have to face the consequences at some point. Russia has demonstrated that it is quite capable of responding to NATO missile strikes on its territory and everywhere. Then even your own couch will no longer be safe. Whoever does not want to understand this out of thirst for war or ideological blinders in the not-so-distant future will receive an intercontinental missile with a nuclear warhead in response. So, a little mongering there. NATO, it was said, was clear that annexing Ukraine would mean war. It goes on from there, but it ends, we are ruled by lunatics who fear cold viruses and CO2, but think nuclear war is insignificant. Leaders of the FBI and Department of Homeland Security declined to testify publicly at a scheduled Senate hearing on Thursday, that's today, on global national security threats, a break from precedent following years of open testimony before the panel. Michigan Democrats said it was the first time in more than 15 years that an FBI director and Homeland Security secretary had both refused to offer public testimony at the annual committee hearing, focused on threats to Homeland, calling it a shocking departure from tradition. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova has stated that the United States Air Defense Base in Rzeszów, Poland, has long been included among the priority targets for potential neutralization. That's fancy talk for a nice nuke up the butt. Iranian member of parliament, the time has come to throw our obligations to the JCPOA under the bus and to advance full-heartedly into the nuclear arena. IDF is moving fast to the ground in Lebanon. According to Lebanese sources, the IDF continues to attack various neighborhoods in Al-Qiyam from the air back tonight and this morning. At the same time, there is high concentration of maneuvering forces in the eastern part of Al-Qiyam, some of which are moving towards the southern neighborhoods of Al-Qiyam. Turkish Navy's anti-submarine warfare corvette, the TCG Kinaliada, has been operating off the Lebanese coast since yesterday. Following the decision of the Hague tribunal against Israel, the Czech parliament promotes a decision on the suspension of its membership in the criminal court. President Trump announced that Pam Bondi, former attorney general for the state of Florida, and one of his former lawyers will be the attorney general instead of Matt Gaetz, who withdrew his nomination. North Korea's Kim Jong-un accused U.S. of stoking tension, warns of a nuclear war. It's important to note that Russia had to warn the United States that it's planning on launch on an ICBM towards the U.S. direction 24 hours in advance. Did the protocols play out, or were they overlooked? Yeah, they did, but very slightly. Oreshnik, 2.5 kilometers per second, reaching speeds of Mach 10. And Bitcoin has just hit $99,000 US for the first time in history. And the United States is concerned about Russia's use of new type of weapons. Pentagon not seeking conflict with Russia, but will continue to provide military aid to Ukraine. All right, friends, that is your crisis report for November 21st, 2024. If anything, go put some food away, if anything. Maybe we get into the whole prepping thing and do other stuff. I don't know. But yeah, this is getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand. It's escalating every day a little bit more. And you should act accordingly. All right? Folks, hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, yada, yada, yada. And we will see you on the next one. God bless. Links in the description. Follow us on X and Truth and Minds. And Gab, and then of course there's Subscribe Star and Locals. So plenty of places to find all the PrepperNow you could ever want. All right, friends. God bless. We'll see you.